6 more weeks of winter. No, not Punxsutawney Phil. We're talking about Volkswagen and the alleged shutdown for production. What in the heck is going on? We will talk about that and so much more. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. We're back with Jan from Tesla Fix. So good to have you.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
Yeah, he runs an awesome channel that does interviews with some of the most amazing people in Teslaverse and also me, which is great.
Yeah, of course.
It's equal opportunity.
Most important person, of course.
Of course. And so we heard this rumor, Volkswagen shutting down the factory. Is it true?
Interesting. So I've tried to look into this actually, and I've also read this on Twitter, and I've went into it and I tried to look it up. We don't have anything official. For example, Handelsblatt would cover this immediately, I would say. It's a German news outlet, but I haven't read anything about this. All the topics about the closing of a factory is from 2022. Of last year, because they had a closure there due to the COVID pandemic and everything. So it was tough for me to get into this, and it seems to be non-existent. Maybe it's insider information. I am not sure.
And 6 weeks seems like a very long one. It seems too long for something like that. I would think 2 weeks would be more appropriate. 6, and I also have dug, and I also have not found anything. But we see rumors like this about all kinds of factories. We see it about Tesla. We see it. The rumors I've seen about factories like Ford and GM were not rumors. They were all, you could find the evidence very prominently. So do you see a reason why they would? Do you think sales are sufficiently soft that they have a month and a half of inventory they just don't need?
I'm not really sure. You could see the ID Buzz, for example. That's a car from VW. This one, for example, is like the sales seem to be a little bit slower. I think that's what I've heard than they thought. So there might be something on the lots there. But the ID3 and the ID4 numbers seem to be normal for VW, not extraordinary big like Tesla Model Y sales, for example. So maybe it's because of maybe retooling something, or I don't really know. That's why it's just a rumor. You can't really tell anything, but because no official news outlet, even in Germany, like I've looked into this from a German IP address and looked into this, I haven't seen anything. So also the news outlets didn't report about
a lot of those rumors start with a nugget of truth and then just go crazy from there. Spiral. You'll see a lot of things I've seen start as a good example was the rumor that Tesla was building a factory in Mexico City. It was leaked from an official source within the development office of the Greater Mexico, whatever. Right, but it doesn't make any sense. You got to actually stop and think about it. You said, well, they could fly inventory out from here. Fly cars? Are you insane? That would cost more than the entire car. There would be no savings.
You could buy the plane cheaper than the car.
Right. It doesn't. What are you talking about? And then all of a sudden, this became like fact among a lot of Tesla analysts. And I'll just use analysts very, very generously on that front. And I got some pushback from some pretty high level people saying, no, it's confirmed. Yeah, it's not confirmed. That's not how that works. And I like to stick with fact. I don't yet believe that there is a prolonged shutdown. It could be that they are offline today. It could be that they are offline for the next week or two. But 6 weeks seems like an awfully long time. For what? Even retooling, again, without an official announcement. Have you seen anything that would give you concern that the German brands are struggling in Germany?
I wouldn't say so. In that sense, I don't have any indications there. I mean, last year,
like you said, the numbers look consistent, not exciting necessarily, but consistent.
Yeah, they look consistent. Even they grew in some sense, but not like the growth rate isn't, of course, not as Tesla, but they have a small growth there, and also they have a lot of models now pushing out, and that's something that also drives the market here. For example, the ID. Buzz, for example, is a popular car more or less here. There's also a hybrid version that's very popular, so I don't see that actually as much, but maybe it's something retooling. It's just a rumor. I don't know. I can only say this: if nothing official is announced, we shouldn't jump on this too fast. Yeah, actually, just wait, be a little bit cool.
Agreed.
Play it cool.
The ID. Buzz has a lot of headroom, I think, for growth in its market. It's still, you showed me numbers before that showed it, it's still selling in what I would call pretty small numbers, and it's cute. It's functional. It's got a lot of utility.
It's a family van.
Yeah, and you've got it in 5-seat configurations in the European market.
Yeah.
It I think is either going to be or is already in the US in a 7-seat configuration.
I think I'm not sure if you could. Yeah, it's a 5-seat variant. Yeah, that's true. They also plan to release the 7-seat variant.
Right. I saw it at the LA Auto Show last year, and it looked great. I mean, it didn't look as good as the pre-release versions. They never do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they never do. Yeah, not with VW.
There's only so much you can do with that shape, and they've done, I think, about as good as you can do in terms of styling. I see a lot of room for growth on that, both in Germany and throughout Europe, and really in any market they put it in, because it looks different and it's good.
Yeah, but very interesting. They have a similar model in a hybrid version that is a little bit bigger. It's a different category. So it's not the ID. Buzz. It's called differently. I'm not sure how it's called, because they have a 7-seat variant there, and it has a little bit. It's a little bit longer, much more room. It has nearly the same price, so people just might switch or pay a little bit more for the hybrid version. I think that's a little bit more compelling right now. But they already announced that they're gonna redo a little bit of that, and I think they are on a good path. But in that sense, I think it's so interesting that Tesla plans to have a van. And if that comes out, I hope it's like a cyber van or something, more of the cyber styling. And I will be the first one to hit that order button right away. I'm so pumped about Tesla van. So, but because this could be really much a competition here, because we need those utility vehicles in Europe as well. Many people don't know that actually many businesses own cars, and then their workers get the benefit of using the car, for example, like as an incentive for working there. So this is a big deal in Germany to have. That's also something that Tesla has to expand here in Europe and Germany, especially to have this these company cars to push the fleets, to push the whole fleets.
And the reason I think the utility style van is coming after the compact as the next vehicle is because not only would it put them in competition with Rivian for their delivery van and Ford for their e-Transit, and in a way that would probably produce better range and results, expanding the market even further, but also because they need a shuttle bus for the boring tunnel. And
that's true.
They've got to have that. The Rivian vans, if you travel around most major cities in the U.S., you're likely to see them. The Rivian Amazon delivery vans. Where I live, we are 53 miles from the nearest Amazon hub, the distribution center, which means they can't use electric for our route. We will never see one here. They just can't make it. But you get to even 150, 180 miles, definitely at 200 miles of range, they can serve almost every local market. And the beauty is with these electric delivery vehicles, so what if they have a shorter range? Nissan's been making the NV400 or whatever for years and selling them because if you have a delivery route, you know what your use case is and if it fits for you. Whereas with a consumer vehicle, you need it to do everything whenever, which makes it a little harder to sell. So the thought, what do you think is going to be, have we seen price drops on German-made EVs? Is that a thing that's happening?
Yes, you've heard that, especially in China, not in Europe, but let's just start with that. They slashed prices, like they went into the price war substantially, and I even have something to pull up here
sure.
because of the this price drop. I think it was this one. Yeah, so this is VW, and it's about the ID.3, and the ID.3 is cut down. Its new base price in China is 125,000 RMB, which is the equivalent of 15,000 euros,
Wow.
which is absolutely crazy because the base price in Germany is 40,000. So
Wow.
let's say they might even lose money on this, I think, and substantially, to get into the price war. So that's why
Wow.
That's why the CEO of the VW China, the CEO of VW China of this division, said that they want to expand internal combustion engine sales because of something like this. Of course, because they have to get cheaper models, and I think this is one of the reasons, because they can't do this for long, I think.
Sure.
So just a small anecdote here. I mean, it's not Germany, but it also affects Germany a bit because the base price in Germany is around 40,000. And of course, they are rivaling Tesla here as well. And so they have to get into the price war, but it's not significantly. It's like around like 1,000 euros less or 2,000 euros less, but they more or less stay on the same level. But you see that many European brands are crumbling under this pressure of Tesla's prices and the Chinese prices. Yeah.
Wow.
So they have to. They have to.
Yeah. So they
There's
are.
a trend.
And also with interest rates being higher, that cuts into purchasing power. I don't know as much about how this impacts business buyers or leases, but I imagine it's going to be comparable across the board.
Yeah.
So-
it should be.
So what I hear you saying, the takeaway is over the short term, Volkswagen, Mercedes, all the German brands are doing okay in electric. There's no imminent concern. Of course, medium to long term, anyone's guess. We have to wait and see how quickly China shows up and how aggressively they show up. And an interesting point that came up I got to ask a question when I was at Fully Charged, and they were doing the China panel with Lars from Best in Tesla, friend of both of our shows. And I was asked, we got to ask questions, and one of the answers was, why is it that a $15,000 Chinese car costs $40,000, $50,000 when it gets to Europe? And there were two answers. One is all the import taxes and the VAT and all that. Yep. The other was they refuse to sell the base models outside of China. They do not want the reputation for making cheap cars. They're working to make a reputation as making good cars. If it's the same price or a couple thousand cheaper, you're done. That's it. That's all you need to do. You don't need to be half the price to make the sale. And if their margin is razor thin in China, they really need those European sales. It's like the Tesla Model 3s being sold in Canada. Those are coming out of Shanghai. The margin on those is magical. And it makes sense because Canada doesn't have the same strict requirements on battery source in order to qualify for their EV incentives. So there's no need to sell those US-made models in Canada. They can sell Chinese-built ones and pay a very reasonable import fee to do so. So I think that's all good and encouraging news from our correspondent on the continent. And by the continent, of course, I mean Europe. Our gentleman from the south of Germany, Jan from TeslaFix. Check him out, won't you? And if you won't, then I need you to tell me in the comments why, because
why?
pretty weird, man.
It doesn't make sense.
It's I think that's
Go
a
hit that
youth
subscribe
thing.
button here and on my channel as well. Please do that.
On his channel as well. And by the way, I hope your previous appearances have sent at least a couple clicks your way.
Yeah, no, actually, they were, and especially I really enjoyed the comments because many viewers of yours commented, and I always love those discussions. And they said, "Oh, I'm from Brian here. I'm from My Tesla Weekend. I've switched over here, and yeah." So I had
And
some feedback.
unsubscribe
Awesome.
from Brian.
No, yeah, that's what they said. No, they are fans of yours and just enjoyed coming over and new discoveries. A small amount, a small fraction, but I'm glad for everyone. So please check it out. If you don't like it, then don't subscribe. Of course, we're in a free market.
And when you leave a comment, you have to, of course, mention you came from here. Otherwise, I won't get my commission.
Yeah, exactly. I've somewhere I have the big pile of money here laying around for you already. So every subscriber gets you $1.
Yeah, use coupon code Brian's Cool to get for a limited time free videos to watch on your channel.
On my channel. Yeah, that's right.
So, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Is there a Chinese car you guys would actually buy? Is there one that looks good to you? Maybe I'll flash a bunch on the screen right now for fun, and they'll just keep going. And everyone else subscribe, like, help us out on Patreon, whatever you got to do. It makes the world of difference. And stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots on the next lap around the planet.